Shabbat Shalom, and welcome back here to our lovely and blessed Shabbat gathering. It's a blessing, as always, to be with you once again to celebrate the Shabbat. That's the whole intention of our heart, is to celebrate the Shabbat, to remember YaHuWaH, to remember the covenant, and most importantly, as we always do, to study His Word, to ask Him the petition of our hearts to guide us in His ways, and to teach us once again everything He has prepared for each one of our hearts. So we are so blessed to be once again with you, to see that you are joining us today for the continuation of the study of the book of Daniel. And we have said this repeatedly in the last few months, I would say, that it's amazing. I think there's no other way to describe it. It's how YaHuWaH has been guiding us to study these books in the time we are living. We are in the middle of a war that can escalate even more. Persecutions and so many things that are happening in this world, that reading the prophecies in these books and reading the promises also of YaHuWaH for His people, and especially, now that we are studying the book of Daniel, especially to see what are the promises of protection for those ones that are deciding to trust in YaHuWaH at all time, is so amazing, and it's such a promise that if we walk in the same way as they did, we are going to receive exactly the same promises. So it's something that YaHuWaH is reminding us in these times, that what should be our attitude, how we should serve Him, how we should seek His face continually, because if we do the same, He will respond in the same way He responded to the servant in the past. So thank you so much once again to join us, and we expect more of you to join us today to, as I said, to celebrate Shabbat and to continue studying this amazing book of Daniel.
Yeah, Shabbat especially. And I was remembering that is a Hebrew man. I don't remember the name. I think that his last name is Levi, but I never remember exactly the name. And from time to time, he's always bringing some words, the meaning in Hebrew and the roots that it has.
Yair
Levi, thank you. And he's a singer. And it's a good one. He was very kind of popular because on the COVID period, he was bringing this song that was being called Heal Her. And it was translated into different languages. And the last song that I remember that I heard from him, it was one that it's being called Shabbat. And he was explaining the connection that it has, and that it has the connection also with the meaning of Teshuvah, doing Teshuvah. And we know that Teshuvah means like returning to the path. And I know that is something so important, and maybe you have lived that experience too. And that maybe when someone is going to ask you, what is the first thing that you have to do or that you can do in order to start this path in the proper way? And I don't know, for me it was when I read all the commandments and I was thinking, okay, this is one that I was failing very bad, so I want to keep it. And I think that, at least for myself, it was like He was opening a door. From that moment onwards, He was like, wow, it was like a shower of, different things that I could understand. And He was like putting that determination that we have when we want to continue. And I think that it's also the special seal that He has put on His children. So if someone is going to ask you, maybe because they don't know where I should read, from what book I should consider and everything, I know that YaHuWaH is going to let them know that at one point that it's starting somehow with keeping His order, His days, what He has set apart. And that was the perfect way, at least for me, that everything started in this walk. And it's beautiful. And today is a day like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Shabbat is so important,
Yeah.
and especially from a prophetic point of view, as well as this thing you were sharing with me earlier. So, I guess that the sound and video is coming through okay. Just let us know in the chat. I was taking a look while you were sharing the last part. Because we have to put everything, to organize here our mobile studio. And the last minute, that's why we apologize for the changing once again the time. I have to tell you, we almost didn't do the study because we have such a huge event here next to this place, and the sound and the voices and the music was so loud that the reality of our Shabbat wasn't that pleasant at the beginning because of all the outside noise. And everything was finalized, all this event 1 hour ago. And we needed to rush to prepare everything, to install cameras, light, microphones, and everything. And that's why we were delayed. But also, I have to enjoy to just taking a look in the last comments. We enjoy to keep you in your toes, as Camila said. So,
and I think that it's a kind of a rehearsal on how everything is going to be. Like, we don't know the time of the hour. We can be prepared to be ready. So something like
I love that. Yeah, this is something that we need to be prepared all the time, because we don't know the time and the hour. Yeah.
And maybe that's why he's giving us all these issues, so we cannot say with complete certainty when we are going to start.
So maybe we should change the title of this live shot. Nobody knows the time and the hour, or the day and the time.
Yeah.
Good. So you saw in the title, and it's down there. What it is over here, I think. It's in that way. There you see it. Is the portion 159. We have been continuing, without interrupting the sequence of the studies we have been doing in this new cycle on the books beyond Torah. And we are going to read and study today the chapter 6 of the book of Daniel from verse 1 to verse 28. And we have titled this portion,
He trusted in his Elohim?
Yes.
Okay.
You have a good eye. He trusted in his Elohim. And I think that's, from my point of view, the bottom line of the story that we are going to study today. And I think it's a so profound message to what should be our attitude in the times we are living, that we need to trust in YaHuWaH at all times. That's the only way we're going to survive anything and everything that can come to our lives. And many things can come, positive and not that positive, challenging and not that challenging. But if we trust in YaHuWaH, everything is possible. So, having said that, unless you want to say something else?
No, we can continue. Yeah.
We can continue. So let me share this song with you. Just give me a second. Be patient with me. And I think it's this one. Yes. So here we go.
ליושב על הכיסא
Let's pray. YaHuWaH Elohim, Sebaot, we want to give thanks to you in this moment because of your love, your compassion, for making a way once again for having this gathering of YaHuWaH, where the intention of our heart is to see your face, is to study your word, to ask you, YaHuWaH, to guide us in your truth, and to teach us of your set apart and everlasting instruction. YaHuWaH, in these times where we are living in this world that we see so many problems happening, so many things going on in different parts of this earth, somehow you are send us a reminder to each one of us through those events that are happening. A reminder of YaHuWaH that first you are in control of everything, that we have nothing to fear because you are the one in control of everything that's happening in this world. And second, YaHuWaH, a reminder that you have said everything and you have established what's going to happen in this world. But the word that you have given to your servants, the prophets, is a reminder to each one of us, YaHuWaH, that your word is going to be established. That everything and anything you have said will come to pass. And we see in it with our eyes, YaHuWaH, because we are becoming witnesses of the reality of the truth of your word. And in the same way your word was established and became true in the past with so many things you promised, we see in our times how your word is being fulfilled. And in itself is a third reminder of YaHuWaH for each one of us. A third reminder is that if we see and we are witnesses of your word becoming true and being fulfilled, is that the rest of your word will be completed. And there are so many promises that are still there. And we hold fast to those promises of YaHuWaH, because if we're able to be witnesses in our time, in this generation, on the last things and the last promises of your word becoming true, it's a reminder to us that we can be that generation, that we will see the return of your son Yahushua coming back on the clouds. And that's fill our hearts, O YaHuWaH, with so much hope and expectation. Because in itself is a blessing. If we are through that generation, and there is no doubt in my heart, at least, O YaHuWaH, that we are that generation, when we look into it with different eyes, with your eyes, O YaHuWaH, we can see that it's a tremendous blessing, that we are going to be the ones seeing the return of your son. And it's in that promise of YaHuWaH is where we want to set our hearts, when we where we want to set our eyes. It's in the promise and the fulfillment of the promise of the return of Mashiach. There are so many voices, YaHuWaH, speaking about the Mashiach and the promises, the promise of your word. Some of them are totally deviated from the truth. Some of them don't even believe that Yahushua is the Messiah. But we truly believe in our hearts, O YaHuWaH, that he already came, and he promised that he will come back, and he is coming back. So, in the midst of the storm, O YaHuWaH, we want to praise your name. We want to wait on you, and we want to hold fast to those promises, setting our eyes not in the problems, not in what we are missing, setting our eyes, YaHuWaH, not in the difficulties or in the persecution that's happening in this world, not in the chaos that is happening everywhere, or what more difficult things can come on the way. The opposite of YaHuWaH. We want to set our hearts to those promises, to the blessings and the joy that you are bringing inside of us. By the grace and the favor you are granted to each one of us, to this generation, to be that last generation. And we want to be ready, O YaHuWaH, for the purpose and the will you have in your heart for each one of us. And we know that part of that will is that we really become light to the nations and light to this world. And that's why, YaHuWaH, in this moment, we ask you that you can transform our hearts, that you can ignite the fire in our spirits, O YaHuWaH, so we can seek your face continually, that we can serve you continually, O YaHuWaH, even in the midst of the storm and the waves around us, that nothing, O YaHuWaH, absolutely nothing, can deviate our attention, our focus in you and in the purposes of your heart for us, and in the mission and in serving you in this time, in these last days. And that's why we are here, YaHuWaH. First, showing you, YaHuWaH, how we love you by keeping your commandments, being faithful to your covenant, because through Yahushua we are part of your covenant once again, O YaHuWaH. And you have taken us in adoption as your true people. You have opened the door for us to become Israel and to become part of the promises and part of the covenant, the everlasting covenant. And we thank you, YaHuWaH, with all our hearts for that. And we thank you, Yahushua, for that. Because you gave your life to give us this opportunity, and that's why we want to honor you, because it was in your heart to give us that opportunity, and we want to honor you by keeping your commandments. Because in that way, O YaHuWaH, we know, because you have teach us your ways, that we are going to be walking in righteousness. And righteousness is so important to YaHuWaH, to be allowed to get into your city, to be part of YaHuWaH, of those that are going to inherit the promises. So here we are, O YaHuWaH, setting apart this day you have set apart from the very beginning, your Shabbat, seeking your face and asking you, YaHuWaH, that your presence can fill this place and our hearts, because only through your presence is when and where we have fullness of life. And we are seeking you, Abba, in this day, asking you to open our eyes, our understanding, our hearts, to strengthen us, O YaHuWaH, in you, so we can become true warriors, spiritual warriors in your hands, being guided all the time by your Ruach HaKodesh, to do your will, to speak your truth, to live a life of righteousness, seeking, O YaHuWaH, to do what is right before your eyes and not what is right before the eyes of men or women, and not even before our own eyes. That the intention of our hearts is always to do what is right before your eyes. Because if we do so, we are going to be serving you all the time, and you are going to take care of us as you have been doing it all of our days and years and life. And as we always do, YaHuWaH, we ask you that you can teach us once again your word, that you can allow your Ruach to speak to us and through us, so you can give us the message and the instruction you have prepared for us today. I pray for your people, your children that are with us today, that you can touch their hearts, that you can heal any disease, that you can heal any broken heart. And we know, YaHuWaH, that the best medicine we have to heal our bodies, our hearts and our spirits, is to be filled with your presence. Because your presence transformed everything, YaHuWaH. Your presence, YaHuWaH, is what can transform this world. So that's why we ask you to fill us entirely, YaHuWaH, with your presence and with your love. We love you, YaHuWaH, with all our hearts, with all our being, and with all our strength. And we worship your name, and we cry out to your name, O YaHuWaH. And we do it in the name you have established in this world. That name is the name of your Son, Yahushua, your Messiah, our King and Savior. Amen.
Amen. Well, now,
Okay.
yeah, we invite everybody to grab your physical scriptures so we can read along. And we are going to read the chapter 6 of Daniel.
Yeah. So let me switch this thing. Just give me 1 second, please. Okay. And let's read.
Okay, so it's going to be my turn.
Go ahead.
It pleased Darius to appoint over the reign 120 viceroys to be over all the reign. And Darius, the meaning of his name is he who holds firm the goodness. Okay, Darius, that is the name of the king. And over them 3 governors, in whom Daniel was one, so that these viceroys should give account to them, and the sovereign suffer no loss. Then this Daniel distinguished himself above the governors and viceroys, because an excellent spirit was in him, and the sovereign planned to appoint him over all the reign. Then the governors and viceroys thought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the reign. But they were unable to find occasion or corruption, because he was steadfast, and no negligence or corruption was found in him. Then these men said, "We shall not find any occasion against this Daniel unless we find it against him concerning the law of his Elah." So I found maybe we can stop there and we can make some comments on that.
Okay.
And I was thinking that it's very interesting that sometimes it's the heart of the people who are moving them to do some kind of actions. In this case, it was people who was working with him, who was in the same level. But when they realized that Daniel was going to be kind of being promoted, they were feeling jealous. And they planned an idea, and they could see that Daniel was a righteous man. He was, he is being written that he has a good spirit in him. And this guy, the only thing, and they said, the only thing that we can, I don't know, make it look guilty of something is we're going to do something that it goes against his law, his belief, the way that he is doing something. So they wanted to look for a flawless in him. And maybe we have to consider that maybe that is going to be the what is going to happen in these last days. that what is going to be like kind of the trap is going to be something that is against what YaHuWaH has established. Maybe the commandments, we know the way that he established for living the life that he is offering us, so we can go back to him. So I think that is what we have to be very careful. And that's why Mashiach and all the prophets and all the scripture that we have is always go and know YaHuWaH, know how he is showing you the two ways, the way that is leading you to life and the way that is leading you to death. So if we don't know him, if we don't know the commandments and the right rulings, we're not going to have the full understanding, and we can be deceived. So we can be deceived by the enemy or people who just want us to not to go and arrive to our goal, that is to go back to him.
One thing we need to I think we need to keep in mind is understanding the story of Daniel. You know, he was as we have been studying so far, he was a young man. We don't know what was his age. I imagine him being, I don't know, youth, less than 20 maybe.
At the beginning.
At the beginning of the story, not here particular, at the beginning, when he was took as a prisoner. Oh, my English today is my brain is still.
You are talking with me too much. So.
Yeah. He was becoming a slave. You know, he was taken from Israel and driven away with all the multitude to Babylon. So you just put in perspective everything that he went through his life, and all the changes, all the challenges he had to face. And we already read and studied what happened when they selected him and also his friends. It was during the kingdom of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar. We already saw everything they had to face and all the challenges and how they were so steadfast and faithful to their Elohim and to his Elohim. And in the same way, YaHuWaH was so faithful and steadfast to him. And, challenge after challenge, because, last week we were studying about this Nebuchadnezzar's son. He became king. And it's like starting all over again. A new kingdom, a new king, that even though that this person knew the stories of his father, Nebuchadnezzar, he didn't acknowledge that. So just put in the perspective of Daniel, he needed to start all over again. And he was recognized by this new king as a special person. Now, in the same night, when Daniel, as we read last week, gave the interpretation of this strange word that was written in the wall by this hand sent by YaHuWaH, the same night, Babylon fell. And the new kingdom of a totally different culture, the Medes and the Persian, came into power with the YaHuWaH. Once again, the entire ground and the floor of Daniel changed completely. New people on power, war, destruction. He needed to start all over again. But even in the midst of all those changes, he stood out in the midst of all the people. Because even though that this new king, it was a new king on the town, he decided to assign Daniel in a special position. Yeah, we can think that maybe somebody told the king that Daniel was so special, in the same way that the king's wife in previous chapter was saying, remember, we know about this Daniel that was interpreting dreams and it was used by the spirit of the Elohim and so on. Maybe somebody told this new king, there is a special person you should consider. Even if it happened in that way, it's not written, but we can speculate that maybe that happened, because that's usually how things happen. That doesn't rest or diminished the hand of YaHuWaH supporting Daniel, because we know that YaHuWaH is in control of everything and everyone, and he's the one softening the heart of people, or hardening the heart of people, as he did it with Pharaoh. So if even somebody else gave a good testimony of Daniel, it was YaHuWaH orchestrating everything. And the only fact that in this whole speculation that maybe somebody gave good words of Daniel, is because he gave a good testimony. And what was the reason of the good testimony of Daniel? Because he had a different spirit, the spirit of Elohim. But let's assume a different scenario. What if nobody told the king? And the king, this new king itself, he saw something in Daniel. That also the mighty power of the Ruach of Elohim being manifested in order to allow the children of Elohim to shine in the midst of darkness. And I think, again, and why I felt I needed to go back to put in context the whole situation of Daniel, because in our lives, we are always facing challenges and changes all the time. And all the time, sometimes we are dreaming to have, I want to have an easy life. I want to be in peace and so on. And yeah, I think it's a good hope, it's a good desire. And then we should always look to have a life, a peaceful one, a life that we are going to bless the people in our families around us and bless the people around us in general. But that's not the situation. We are always facing challenges. And I think that's why for me it's so beautiful, the entire story of Daniel, when we look at it in this perspective, that he was always facing so much challenges. But in every challenge, he was always looking into the eyes of YaHuWaH and waiting on him, trusting in him at all time. And in every moment and in every time and in every challenge, YaHuWaH was responding and backing him up and allow him to shine. So, we are going through so many changes in this world. There are so many people saying that, in the coming 3, 5, even 10 years, we are going to face so many changes because of how technology is progressing. There are so many geopolitical issues, and we are in the midst of one currently, that we can get into desperation mode because of we don't know what's going to happen. That's exactly what Daniel faced so many times. So here for us, there is a good lesson. What we are going to do. Are we going to look into the things that we are facing with our own eyes or the eyes of the rest of the people of this world, or we are going to imitate Daniel and to trust YaHuWaH all the time? Because even somebody else is taking power, even a huge change is coming. If we trust in YaHuWaH at all time, he is going to allow us to shine and to stood out in the midst of the rest. But we need to be faithful to YaHuWaH. That doesn't mean we're going to be free of challenges, because as you were saying, even though that the king was seeing something special in Daniel, and he assigned only 3 governors. One of them was Daniel.
4, and he was
4?
1.
Okay,
Yeah,
he was one. And even after that, he was going to appoint Daniel as the only one.
On the top of them. Yeah.
Because there was something special. So we talked about that 2 weeks ago, most probably. We need to seek for that something special in each one of us. Not because we want to be the best of the best compared to the rest. No, it should be from a place of humility, to serve YaHuWaH, to serve others. That should be our attitude, and what is igniting that desire to have something special, and what does special we know is the spirit of Elohim. So it should be our daily prayer, not only daily, should be at least 3 times a day, asking YaHuWaH to give us the gift of his Ruach HaKodesh. Because as I was saying during the prayer, is the indwelling of the Ruach HaKodesh is what's going to bring the presence of YaHuWaH to our heart, to our entire being. It's going to fill this house. And it's the very same presence of YaHuWaH is the one transforming each one of us. There are so many stories in the scriptures, and throughout our lives, most probably we have been hearing so many testimonies of people that have been transformed from one moment to the other. And your dad is coming to my mind now. Like you told me what happened. And it happened to all of us, I think, in one moment, that we were transformed in a blink of an eye. And sometimes, and yesterday we were taking a look with Lillian in a service, beautiful service a man is doing for many people. And we do believe he's a believer. And they need, those people need to go through a process to change and to be transformed. And it's a good thing to do, because it's the part of the capacities that YaHuWaH is given us if we have the heart to serve others and to help them to be relieved and healed from traumas of the past and to move on in their lives. And it's a good thing to do, and we should do it to help people in that way. But when we think in the other angle, you know, the presence of YaHuWaH is so powerful and so mighty that in a moment like this, he can change people, he can change hearts. And this is exactly what Yahushua is going to do when he's coming back. You know, it's not going to be an easy thing, but he's going to change the world like this. It's going to be a process to rebuild everything. And we hope that we are going to join in that process of rebuilding the world, because it's going to be a beautiful task to do, to serve our King. But, you know, even today, that's why we need to seek the presence of YaHuWaH so much. And that's why we need to ask in this last day that he's going to pour down his Ruach, the latter rain, once again, in such a way that we are going to be able to transform by allowing the presence of YaHuWaH and the Ruach of Elohim working through us to transform this world and to transform the lives in a moment. Because this is exactly the healing this world and the people of this world need. And this is exactly what Daniel had. He had the Ruach of Elohim dwelling in him. And he was allowing the Ruach of Elohim to work through him in order to transform the world around him. And he did it in such a way, we will read today how he did it once again in a new story. He did it in the past, and he transformed even the heart of the king that was the head of gold of the system of the beast. Such the power of the Ruach of Elohim that can transform the heart of a person that we cannot even imagine. Just think, how can the presence of YaHuWaH change your own heart to start with? Because if it's changing our heart, the rest is just to serve as an instrument to change the heart, even of the most tough or the hardest of the people that we can know.
Okay, let's continue. And now, I don't know if this is being shown.
No.
No? Yeah. So they can read.
So he was facing, you know, despite all of that, he was facing a new challenge. And the new challenge was coming from the people around him that they were jealous of Daniel, because Daniel was special. And that, you know, is the persecution that we are going to face. Yahushua was speaking about that. You know, if the world hated me, don't be surprised, they will hate you as well, because you have something special. You are coming with a different message. So that will cause the minions of the enemy to do and to work through the people. again, we are not fighting against flesh and blood. It's against the principalities that are using the people. So here Daniel once again is facing a new challenge. Despite all of that, what's going to be his attitude is what it matters.
On the verse 6, then these governors and viceroys tumultuously gathered before the sovereign and said this to him, Sovereign YaHuWaH, live forever. All the governors of the reign, the nobles and viceroys, the counselors and advisors have consulted together to establish a royal decree and to make a strong interdict that whoever petitions any Allah or man for 50 days except you, O sovereign, is thrown into the den of lions. Now, sovereign, establish the interdict and sign the writing so that it's not to be changed according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, which does not pass away. So something that is going to be like eternal. So sovereign YaHuWaH signed the written interdict. And Daniel, when he knew that the writing was signed, went home, and in his upper room, with his windows open toward Jerusalem, he knelt down on his knee 3 times a day, and prayed and gave thanks before his Allah, as he has done before. Then these men tumultuously gathered and found Daniel praying and entreating before his Allah. Then they approached the sovereign and spoke concerning the sovereign interdict. Have you not signed an interdict that every man whose petitions any Allah or man within 30 days, except you, O sovereign, is thrown into the dens of lions? The sovereign answered and said, The word is certain, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which does not pass away. I don't know, maybe we can put it until there. And it's interesting that when Daniel knew about this new law, he was not afraid at all. He was not feeling, I think, I can even imagine him. He was even more bold than before, I think. He was open, and so everybody could see that he was not afraid. So that kind of attitude, maybe sometimes we should pursue that. We should pursue to have the same behavior that he did. We don't have to be worried about what other people are going to think. It doesn't matter. For instance, I remember that at one point I was worried about what is happening nowadays about wearing the tzitzit. And I remember that I told you that I have even a dream about that we were kind of persecuted because we were in tzitzit. And then I said, no, because I'm not going to make people happy about what they think about this, about what is the covenant, what is how YaHuWaH was asking me to wear every day something that is allowing me to remember his commandments. So if somebody is going to took it from other point, I'm not going to be fearful of that. It's their issue, it's their problem. I have to be like Daniel, how he was firm, established on the rock, that is YaHuWaH, and is like Yahushua. He was showing us how it's really possible while we are living here in the earth. So doesn't matter what the rest are doing, what the rest are plotting against us. And I can imagine that the situation of Daniel, like the situation of Yahushua with the Pharisees and the scribes, that they were always looking a kind of an occasion so they can make an accusation. And this was what happened. So
there are a few things that, I'd say it's amazing how the Ruach helped us sometimes. Because he was reminding me on something that I was sharing many years ago with here in the channel when I was doing this timeline of the events of the sequence of events of the last times. the last days. And I remember, I was calculating a difference in the prophecies we are going to read in the same book later on about the 1260 days and 1290 days. And then there is another sequence of 1335 days. So I remember back then analyzing what's the difference between all the scenarios. And yeah, there is a difference of 30 days in the first block, and then a difference of 45 days. And what I felt back then, that most probably we are going to have a kind of a grace period, let's say so, of 30 days between the beginning of everything and 30 days in order to find protections and so on, and speaking about specifically about the Great Tribulation period. And then now that we're reading here is speaking exactly about 30 days, and the Ruach reminded me about this, and it could be because that this plot that these people made, they made it in order to trap Daniel, trap a child of Elohim. And think on the last days and the Great Tribulation, that they are going to put this for 30 days in order to get and cut the people that are not complying with the new policies. So it's something to ponder, something to think about. Maybe this is something, a foreshadow of things that can happen. That something is going to be established as a law, and maybe not necessarily the people in power are going to be aligned or with the desire to do these kind of things. Maybe they will. We don't know. But just taking a look in this story, the king was deceived somehow, and he knew what he was signing. But at the end, everything was done in a plot to persecute the people of YaHuWaH, to persecute Daniel. Because that was the only way that they were going to persecute him. And that's so important, so profound, because this group of men, evil men, they were looking into ways to cut Daniel because of find Daniel lying, or doing something that wasn't inappropriate, or there's something that was evil, but they were unable to find things to accuse Daniel. And what they saw, because they were analyzing and being used by the evil spirits, is that the only way, and why I'm saying that was used by evil spirit, because it's exactly what happened. We know that the scripture is a kind of cyclical. We see patterns happening. What they were doing is exactly what Balaam instructed Balak, I think was the name of the king, to do against the second generation of Israel. In order to cut Israel, they needed to make him fall by not keeping the Torah and the instructions of YaHuWaH, the commandments. And unfortunately, the second generation of Israel fall into the trap and they committed sin. So here, once again, is the same plot, is the same situation, that the only way to make him fall is that we are going to put something that is going to be against the Torah. Can you imagine that what would happen with Daniel if Daniel was so fearful and he was saying, okay, I'm not going to pray?
Well, I can do it hidden. I don't know. Nobody's going to see me. But he was the opposite. That's what calls my attention.
Yes.
That he was so bold that he could do it so everybody can see.
But it is written, it is written that he used to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know where. Yeah, as he did before or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here. As he had done before.
Yeah.
So he used to do that because actually, and I think I was sharing in the past about this as well, we are instructed. There is a passage in the book of Tehillim, maybe I have it here, that it's written that even David was doing exactly the same, praying. No, I don't have the reference. But in the book of Tehillim, you can look at it later on after this study, not now.
But maybe somebody has
Or somebody,
good memory.
Maybe
Yeah.
Karen has a good memory.
Or Camila.
Or Camila,
yeah,
yes.
Camila.
It is written in one of in the Tehillah, one Tehillah, is that David used to pray 3 times
Yeah.
a day as
And
well.
toward Jerusalem.
And it's toward Jerusalem. We should try to do that therefore as well. And this is completely based. Why toward Jerusalem? Because of the dedication, the Hanukkah, the dedication that Solomon did of the first temple. It is written in the book of Chronicles, when he was dedicating the temple and he was praying, when he was kneeling down and with his hand up to the heavens, he was praying to YaHuWaH, saying that every time that one of your people is praying toward this set apart place, that you are going to hear their prayers and answer them. I'm just paraphrasing of what he said. So that's why, then Daniel knew about this promise. That's why he was praying toward Jerusalem. And why he was doing it 3 times a day? Because of the offerings.
Yeah.
The offering of the morning and the offering of the afternoon. He was, and the noon, there is not an offering at noon, but I think it's so relevant because when we think in the trajectory of the sun, in the morning when it's dawning, then in the afternoon at dusk, but noon is when it's in the top of the vault on the dome. So it's like just in our head. So it's setting a special time during the day. And maybe there's something that we have not discovered, at least I don't remember, that why he was using also praying at noon. So what was the attitude of Daniel? I'm not going to change anything. They can do anything they want to do to me. Even though that there is maybe this 30 days grace period that they are going to try to trap me, and maybe not only me, the rest of the children of YaHuWaH, I'm not going to comply with that. And again, this is also a foreshadow of what could happen now. They can start applying policies, and we already faced something a few years ago that I think it was a kind of a trial of what they are planning to do soon, most probably, we don't know. That the intention of the enemy, then he's not going to invent nothing new, because there's nothing new under the sun. They're going to do it once again. They're going to start implementing policies that the only intention is to push us to not to comply with the commandment of the Torah of YaHuWaH. So the question we need to ask ourselves, what we are going to do in that moment? Are we going to open up the doors and the windows of our homes and to pray to YaHuWaH and to keep doing his commandments, even though the persecution that will mean? That will require a lot of courage. So we need to ask ourselves, do I have that courage? And we are being called to be strong and courageous. That's the calling. So once again, for me, as I said at the beginning, studying this book in the times we are living is so important and so amazing at the same time that YaHuWaH is reminding us of things that happened in the past that are going to be the same things that are going to happen in our days. And beside that, he's showing us the way forward. What should be our attitude, what we should do, how to prepare our hearts, and what to do in the moments when those things are going to happen.
Do you remember where I have to do it?
You should remember. Yeah. 13.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Just give me a second. This thing is being blocked. Okay.
Now?
Yep.
Okay. Then they answered and said before the sovereign, Daniel, who is one of the sons of the exile from Yehuda, pays no heed to you, O sovereign, nor for the interdict that you have signed. but makes his petition 3 times a day. So they were like, oh. It's like a, I don't know, like a bad story. Then the sovereign, when he heard these words, was greatly displeased with himself and set his heart on Daniel to deliver him. And he labored till the going down of the sun to deliver him. Wow. Because even the king was deceived, and he realized that he was deceived. And what I like about that is that the love that he has for Daniel, because he was making an effort. He was working. How can I reverse this that I made? How can I do something for him?
I don't know. Now that you mention it, I don't know if the king was deceived. I would say that
Well, that was the intention of
he heard, because they never lie. They told him what they wanted to do. What they hide is that they were doing this in order to accuse Daniel.
Yeah.
So the king at the end, he wasn't deceived. He knew what there was the decree all about, and he signed it. The point is that he never thought in Daniel. And now that after that he realized that it was affecting Daniel, what I did. I didn't realize.
I didn't realize that this could have this
consequence.
Yeah.
And what you say is true, and that's why for me it's so beautiful to see what the Ruach of YaHuWaH can do for us when we allow him to dwell in us. Is that this was a new king, and this new king learned to love Daniel in this way, and there are more things coming on in the next passages. A Gentile king loving a Jewish man, because this Jewish man had something special. I mean, just mentioning the cultural background, the Gentile, Jew, for one just reason, there are different people, strangers, that they didn't have anything in common. That one that was in a place of power managed to love somebody from a totally different culture that was a kind of a slave,
different
beliefs. He managed to love him because he saw something special in him. So can you imagine what the Ruach of Elohim can do for us when we have people around us that the only thing that they want to do is to do some harm to our lives? But YaHuWaH will put people around us, even that with a different background, with different culture, maybe with different language, even, that they will see that something special in our hearts, and that they are going to be compelled and driven by the Spirit of YaHuWaH to see that special and to learn to love us in such way that what you were reading here is that when he realized about that this was impacting Daniel, he moved everything. He did everything he could make to save Daniel. Just imagine what the Ruach of Elohim can do for us, to bring people close to us, strangers, to help us in such a way that they will do everything in their hands in order to protect us. So sometimes when we talk about the end times, we need to think in preparations of what we can do in different type of scenarios. If you have a kind of a engineering mindset as I had, I have to put myself in different scenarios most of the time, just to plan forward. But even though that maybe this is part of our way of thinking, there is only one thing that is the most important of all of that. It's having the Ruach of Elohim. Because if we have the Ruach of Elohim, we don't need to plan that much. It's the Ruach of Elohim, the one who is going to guide us everywhere and in everything we have to do. And it's the Ruach of Elohim that is going to shine the light of the kingdom of YaHuWaH through us, and that will compel people around us in order to help us and to love us. So I think the best preparation of all is exactly that. How to live a life through our true identity as a child of Elohim. If we learn how to live that life as a true child of Elohim, the rest YaHuWaH will do it for us.
Okay, now you have to read and
15?
yes.
Okay. It says the following, verse 15. Then these men tumultuously gathered before the sovereign and said to the sovereign, Know, O sovereign, that this is the law of the Medes and the Persians, that any interdict or decree which the sovereign establishes is not to be changed. Then the sovereign gave orders, and they brought Daniel and threw him into the den of lions. But the sovereign spoke and said to Daniel, Your Elah, whom you serve continually, he himself delivers you. And stone was brought and laid on the mouth of the den, and the sovereign sealed it with his own signet and with the signets of his great men, that the situation concerning Daniel might not be changed. So he complied with his own decree. He tried to do everything in his hands to save Daniel. He couldn't make it, and this group of evil men knew about that. So he needed to comply, and he complied. But somehow he's showcasing a bit of faith.
Yeah.
Maybe this king was on the way to believe, but he wasn't yet there. That's why he was saying, Daniel, may your Elah, the one you serve, he can save you. Just with that phrase for me showing kind of a faith. I did already everything that I could. Now I pray that your Elohim will save you. And now that I read all of this, just a picture in my heart, somehow what happened with Yahushua, because he was put in a cave, a stone was put over there, it was his dead body already after the stake. In this case, Daniel was put on the cave to die. It was a tomb.
Somehow, yeah.
Somehow. And he put the signet just to make sure everything is done in order. Nobody's going to come and take Daniel and to try to save him, because the decree was done, and this is what we are to comply. I think it's a foreshadow of Mashiach in some aspect as well. So let's continue. It says, and the sovereign went to his palace and spent the night fasting, and not entertainment was brought before him, and his sleep fled from him. Then the sovereign rose up very early in the morning and hurried to the den of lions. So this showing itself what was the heart of the king. I think all of us, we have gone through situations, difficult situations. When we are going through that storm, it's very difficult to sleep. I remember many situations in the past, one particularly, I couldn't sleep the entire night. That's the stress that's happening in our bodies, that when we are facing the difficult moments, it's exactly as it is being described here. So that is again showing the heart of this king. This king knew that this cannot be happening to Daniel. Daniel is a good person, he's a good man. How come all of this is happening? So he was so sad, and at the same moment, I think he was so hopeful that a miracle was going to happen. That's why he was, maybe he barely slept, most probably. When he was waking up, he ran to the tomb. to see what happened. With that expectancy, with the expectation that maybe Daniel is still alive. Maybe his Elohim is a true Elohim and he somehow did the miracle. It's, in a way, it's also giving us a lesson to all of us, and in the attitude of Daniel, and also in the attitude of the king. I think the attitude and the heart of the king is something also showing compassion, showing love. He decided to fast. Maybe he was not hungry at all, but it says that night fast. He somehow was seeking the unknown. Maybe he didn't recognize YaHuWaH as the Elohim yet. But he had a bit of faith. So that should be our attitude when we are facing situations. We should fast. We need to, disconnect ourselves from the day-to-day. He was not receiving any entertainment. He was disconnecting from his day-to-day, setting his heart and his attitude, thinking on this man of Elohim, thinking on Elohim to do a miracle, and having the expectation in the heart that maybe something was going to happen, putting the eyes and the sight on the unknown, even though that he had a lot of uncertainties, and what he was expecting, the miracle to happen, was illogical. He had this expectation. So we have the attitude of Daniel: nothing will deviate me from the way of YaHuWaH, and I will trust YaHuWaH till the end. And the attitude of the king that, okay, I will seek the face of YaHuWaH. I will act in righteousness. I will expect, even though that what I'm expecting is an impossibility. I think it's a tremendous lesson also, his attitude. So it says in the verse 20th, and when he came to the den, he called with a grieved voice to Daniel. The sovereign spoke and said to Daniel, Daniel, servant of the living Elah, has your Elah, whom you serve continually, been able to deliver you from the lions? And faith without works is death. And I think the king here is exactly activating his faith. Yeah, just again put in context. And there, I think there were a few cases a few years ago. And what I'm going to say, just imagine yourself getting into a lion's cage. I think the probability to survive that is almost zero. So the king is having this faith that maybe a miracle was going to happen. It's a cave with a stone. He's unable to see at all, nothing, what is inside. And what he does, he speaks up. He called for Daniel.
It's like when YaHuWaH was calling.
Yeah, it's exactly that. It's exactly that. So he's activating his faith with the hope that maybe if a miracle happens, the only way that I'm going to know is by calling Daniel. Again, he's unable to see a thing. And he's activating his faith by speaking, Daniel, did your Elohim save you? Anybody else could think this guy is mad, he's nuts, he's crazy. How come he's calling Daniel when the lions already devoured him? Is he expecting to receive an answer from a dead man? The king lost his mind. Maybe the guards that were in that place, they were thinking exactly on that. What's going on here? We need a new king. But his heart and his attitude was so focused on Daniel and maybe in the miracle that he was activating. He was not taking care of what the people was going to say. He was not even thinking that, that maybe he's not going to answer, he's already dead. He was asking, Daniel, are you still alive? That's a new lesson for us. That we are always in this internal spiritual battle within us, and we need to fight that battle with the spiritual weapons that YaHuWaH has gave us. And we need to win that battle. And part of winning that battle is that we need to change the attitude inside of us. Having faith, but at the same time activating the faith by doing. And doing in this case by speaking. Speaking is manifesting our faith by saying something. If we keep it inside of us, we are not activating, we are not acting. With the only fact he's speaking, or we are speaking and telling somebody what we believe, we're activating our faith. And we do it with the action. Going to the place, in the case, just paraphrasing of what the king did. Going to the place, maybe knocking the rock and telling Daniel, are you still alive? This is exactly the lesson we need to learn. Sometimes we are expecting so many things, so many miracles, but we are keeping it inside of us in our hearts. And we are not activating with works, and with words as well, words and works, actions, in order to let it out what we believe, in order to become a reality, in order to give YaHuWaH the trigger point that he's waiting in order to do his miracles. That we are taking the first steps for him to be manifested with his awesome and mighty hand. How we do the first step, take the first step for his power to be manifested is exactly that, by speaking and doing. I learned a tremendous lesson this week. I was telling Lillian, it was a very intense week. And I went through different stages. Different seasons in 3-4 days, different seasons of my spiritual behavior, if I can call it. And now that I'm sharing this with you, maybe conscious or sometimes unconscious, I was doing exactly this, what we are seeing in this study, in this lesson, in this passage today. And I can tell you, and I'm so thankful from YaHuWaH. I was telling Lillian, what I was expecting to receive at the beginning, I don't bring anything in my hand, something tangible. But the transformational process I went through was so powerful that, at the end, I don't care if I have something in my hand too tangible in my hand, because what I received was so much powerful that it changed my mindset of what the focus is. And it's a lesson that we need to go day after day. Because, the struggles we go inside of us are the real battle, the real spiritual battle. So I saw miracles happening with me this week by activating the faith in this way, by changing the attitude, just putting the focus on what's important, and by trusting in YaHuWaH, by pouring the heart to him. It's exactly all the components we see here in this amazing story. And I'm sharing you this testimony somehow without telling you the details, because I cannot tell you the details. Just the important things is that to invite you to do exactly the same. We all are going through different seasons of testing, trials, difficulties, challenges, in different ways, different aspects. But YaHuWaH is giving us the key. YaHuWaH is giving us the key of what we have to do. He's giving us the key with the testimonies of the rest, the testimony of Daniel that is written, and the testimony I'm sharing with you. What we have to do is to trust in YaHuWaH, is to fast, is to win the spiritual battle inside of our hearts, setting our eyes in YaHuWaH to do His miracles, changing our attitude, having the faith, but completing the faith by speaking and doing. So if you're going through a situation in these days, you know, the only way to get out of those situations and to learn the lesson that YaHuWaH wants to instruct you, because every challenge we are going through life is a blessing that YaHuWaH is sending us, because He wants to prepare us and to teach us, to make us grow in the knowledge of His truth. So if you look into the situation you are facing as a blessing, as an opportunity, your attitude will change. And in order to see His miracles, you need to put in practice, as I told you last week as well. We need to put in practice His word. It's not only theory that we are going to store and believe with all our hearts, but even if we believe with all our hearts, but we don't put it in practice, if we don't do it, we won't see His miracles. So if you are going through those situations, just pray to YaHuWaH to guide you on how to put into practice all these tiny but important things. Because once again, He's given us the key in order to endure. He's given us the key to be strong and courageous. He's given us the key to be filled with His Ruach HaKodesh and to shine the light of the kingdom in these times. Those are the most important lessons, and somehow He's doing it because He's preparing us for our most important job in these times, is to save more lives for His kingdom. Let's continue. So after He was asking, your Elohim was able to deliver you from the lions, whom you serve continually. And that's also very important. We need to serve YaHuWaH continually, all the time, not one day and the other, no, 1 week and the other one, no, continually, all the time. So the verse 21 said, then Daniel said to the sovereign, "O sovereign, live forever." Can you imagine what was the surprise of the sovereign when he heard the voice of Daniel? And not only the sovereign, also maybe the guards that were over there. My Allah has sent His messenger and has shut the lion's mouth, and they did not harm me, because I was found innocent before Him. And also before you, O sovereign, I have done no harm. Then the sovereign, in his such a surprise, and maybe his heart beating like crazy because of the enthusiasm, or being witness of a miracle, it says this, then the sovereign was very glad and gave orders that Daniel be taken up out of the den. And Daniel was taken up out of the den, and no harm was found on him, because he trusted in his Allah. And the sovereign gave orders, and they brought those men who had accused Daniel, and they threw them, their children, and their wives into the den of lions. And the lions overpowered them, and broke all their bones in pieces before they reached the floor of the den. Then sovereign YaHuWaH wrote to all peoples, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, peace be increased to you. From before me is made a decree that throughout every rule of my reign, men are to tremble and fear before the Allah of Daniel, for He is the living Allah, and steadfast forever. And His reign is one which is not destroyed, and His rule is unto the end. He delivers and rescues, And he works signs and wonders in the heavens and on earth. For he has delivered Daniel from the power of the lions. And this Daniel prospered in the reign of YaHuWaH and in the reign of Koresh the Persian. How beautiful would be, all of this happened in the land of Babylon, what is known today as the country of Iraq. It is written that the laws and instructions of the Medes and the Persians are forever, cannot be removed. Can you imagine how beautiful would be that a tablet of stones, as many things have been found from those empires, is being found with the decree of this king, saying it's a decree that is going to last forever. That was the way that they believed in his systems, his political system, saying a decree that throughout every rule of my reign men are to tremble and fear before the YaHuWaH, the Elohim of Daniel. Can you imagine what could be the reaction of society if this being found and known? That a king of the Medes and the Persians really signed this decree, recognizing that YaHuWaH is the true Elohim. You know, that would change many things. Maybe it's going to happen, maybe not. But one thing is completely certain, is that this world will change by the power of YaHuWaH, will change by the love and compassion of YaHuWaH, being displayed in such a powerful way, in the same way that he saved Daniel. And you and us, we are being called in these times to show this power, to show this faithfulness, to show the truth of the kingdom of YaHuWaH, to trust in YaHuWaH at all times. And at the moment we learn to trust in YaHuWaH, we will see these miracles happening. And I do believe, and I think you are also feeling this in your heart, that the times for these things and these miracles to happen is now. I do believe that all of us, we are feeling that we are in the verge of something very important to happen in this world. So what is going to be our decision? We should decide to trust in YaHuWaH. We should decide to believe in Him. We should decide to cast out all fear, all uncertainties. And as I heard yesterday from one person, and I do believe he's right, we're always going to have some fear. The only moment that maybe we are not going to have any fear at all is because we are going to be dead already. But the point is what we are going to do. Even if we have the smallest or the biggest of the fear, what we are going to do with it. It should not stop us. We should continue moving forward, even in the midst of the fear. And the only way we are going to be able to continue moving forward, the only way, if we trust in YaHuWaH. If we trust in YaHuWaH, we are going to take the fear, we are going to put it in our pockets, and we will continue moving forward. Because we are going to trust that YaHuWaH will make the way, that YaHuWaH will give us of His presence and His Ruach, and He will do the miracles in our lives. And this is the season of righteousness, this is the season of truth, the truth of his word, that we need to speak with our lips the truth of the word of YaHuWaH. And this is the season of the miracles, so the world can see that YaHuWaH is the true Elohim, an everlasting Elohim, the king of a kingdom that cannot be destroyed, not be in this place, a kingdom that is going to be established by his right hand, Yahushua HaMashiach. So, as the time passed by and we are getting closer to the return of Mashiach, that we all expect is going to happen sooner than later, without knowing the day or the hour, we have the feeling that it's going to happen sooner than later. Now is the time for us to change the attitude and to have the heart and the attitude of the king, but most importantly, to have the attitude and the spirit of Daniel.
Yeah, just one thing that I was thinking when Daniel was saying to the king, a messenger from my Allah was coming, and he was the one shutting down the mouth of the lions. And sometimes that is the same what is going to happen to us. We are not going to disappear from that place, because our Father wants us not to leave that situation. Maybe it's going to be on the contrary. We're going to stay there. But the difference is that He's going to protect us. He's going to find a way that the harm that is there for us is not going to affect us. So, and it was a kind of judgment when He said, I was found innocent on His eyes. So it was a judgment period somehow. So I found that is what we have to always think. Maybe we are not going to be detached from a situation. Maybe we are not going to be, disappear in this place and appear in a beautiful one, and that's how Abba is working. No. Maybe it's that we have to go through, but we are not going to be alone. Yahushua said, I'm not going to leave you orphans. I'm going to be with you until the end of the moments, until that you cross this earth and you go to the new one. So we have to think about that.
Yeah, and we are never alone.
Never alone.
This week I was doing something that Lillian wasn't with me. And it was a transformative day. I was telling Lillian yesterday, but I didn't finish the entire story, so I need to finish after the broadcast what happened on Wednesday and Thursday. But on Wednesday was a complete transformation from the way that I was in the morning to how I ended up in the night. It was such a beautiful transformation I felt in my heart that I said, I was fasting, during those 3 days. I said, I'm going to finish my fast. I'm going to celebrate. And I was by myself. And I said, but I'm not alone. I said, YaHuWaH, come with me. Let's celebrate together. So, again, sometimes we hold ourselves on doing things because we are scared to the people around us. We are scared of what the people will think. And that's why I was sharing with you that the attitude of the king is also a lesson for us. Doesn't matter what the people will think, because at the moment we do things in a righteous way, even by doing that, we will become a witness for the people around us. That's going to be a way to shine the light of the kingdom, because they will see something, even if they thought that this person is crazy, what's going to happen? They will continue thinking in you. Something will be deposited in their hearts. And the time that they are around you, they will continue thinking, what's going on? What's wrong with this person? And that's the Ruach of Elohim that will do something in their hearts. And most probably, even if they depart and go to somewhere else, they will continue thinking in you. So let's not hold ourselves Not because we are alone. Sometimes we are never alone. It's YaHuWaH with us. Just think on what was the attitude of Daniel? It's not here, but we can speculate as well. If Daniel was serving YaHuWaH continually, if he was praying 3 times a day, what do you think that Daniel did when he was thrown into the den of lions? Do you think that he was alone? He felt himself alone? I don't think so. I do believe that Daniel was talking to YaHuWaH. He was having this internal battle, a spiritual battle within him, with the evil spirits that maybe wanted to deviate his attention, and he won most probably that battle, and most probably he said, I'm not alone, YaHuWaH, you are with me. And then, this messenger manifested. And he was able to see with his own eyes the messenger. So that should be our attitude. We are never alone. Even though that we are not able to see him, he is with us. So it's like we are speaking now, we're speaking now. Talk to YaHuWaH. Talk to him. Doesn't matter if the people think that you are crazy, talk to him. And think on what's going to be the balm and the gladness in the heart of YaHuWaH when he listen and see that you are speaking to him. It's going to be exactly as the heart of this king when he was able to listen once again the voice of Daniel. So those are the type of lessons we need to learn. When I'm talking to you that we need to put in practice his word, those are the kind of things that I'm talking about. Let's not waste more time. Let's start putting into practice his word at every moment and every second of our lives. Remembering YaHuWaH at every moment of our life means exactly that. Recognizing that he is everywhere, that he is with us in every place. So if I'm walking with Lillian, and sometimes have happened that we are not speaking because we have a situation, maybe we are mad, and we are walking, but we are not speaking. I can sustain this more because I'm more stubborn than Lillian, but she beat me sometimes. It doesn't feel well, or not? But don't cry.
No, those silence are not the good ones. Yeah.
It doesn't feel well.
Yeah.
Just
it's like a heaviness.
Think that YaHuWaH is walking beside you all the time. How does he feel if he's walking beside you all the time and you are not speaking to him? It's like the example that I'm bringing. Believing in YaHuWaH, it means recognizing that he is alive, that he is beside us at all time. And he is beside us at all time. How come I'm not going to speak to him, especially if he is the maker of the heavens and the earth? I would be talking to him all the time, asking, can you teach me this? Can you help me with this? Those are the practical things that we need to put in our lives. That will change completely our way of lives. It will change completely our relationship with YaHuWaH. It will change completely our attitude. It will change completely the miracles we will see happening in our lives. And it will change completely our service toward the kingdom of YaHuWaH and toward the King. Because we will have a different attitude. We will allow the Ruach of Elohim to flow through us because we are becoming echad with YaHuWaH. This is something we need to learn. It doesn't mean we are not going to go through situations, days that are going to be more difficult than the others. For sure, that's our human nature. But the point is that those are, again, blessings and opportunities that YaHuWaH is bringing to our lives in order to strengthen our faith, to strengthen our attitude. So the difference will be what we are going to do during those times. We need to focus not on what we are feeling. We need to focus and moving forward. And this is the way I decided to live, that YaHuWaH is with me. I will fight this battle and I will continue and I will be victorious. I will triumph during this situation because YaHuWaH is beside me. And at the moment we do that, we are going to learn a lesson even at the cellular level of our bodies. Because we are training our body to trust in YaHuWaH at all times and in any circumstances. Lillian was sharing with me earlier today, a testimony of a martyr. How they were able to survive those kind of things because they became echad with YaHuWaH. That's why we need to use the time He's given us, because even He is the one giving us life and giving us time in this earth to learn how to be echad with Him for the times that are coming ahead. And I can tell you, when we do that, our focus will change. Maybe we are doing it for something at the beginning, but at the end, He will show us a greater thing, a greater focus, a greater purpose. And those are the miracles and changes He do in our lives. And let me repeat it again. We are in the season of the miracles. We are in the season of the truth. Yes, in the other side of the street, in the pedestrian, in the other side of the street, there are many things happening, challenges, war, persecution, famine, technology taking over, or many other things, diseases, and so on. But that's in the other side of the street. Are we going to walk in that side of the street, or are we going to walk in this side of the street, where we see that this is the season and recognize that this is the season of the truth, speaking the truth. This is the season of increasing the light. This is the season of the miracles of YaHuWaH. This is the season of preparing this earth for the return of the King. So it's up to us to decide if we are going to walk in that one or in this one. And we cannot be jumping from one to the other. Sometimes we do, but we need to make a decision and do, especially when we are with the intention to cross the street, to stop ourselves and not to cross. I'm talking, maybe in riddles, but that crossing is not happening physically, externally. It's happening inside of us, in our attitude. In where is our focus? Where is our attention? Our attitude, our focus, our attention must be in the kingdom of YaHuWaH and in His righteousness. And if we do that, again, everything will settle down in terms of our activities in our lives, in our attitude, and how YaHuWaH will use us in His hands. So think on that. Put things in perspective, and especially put things in practice. That's for me today. Anything you want to add before we close?
Just to share that we are in different trials, physical, spiritual, but always He is with us. While you were away, I just told you, I think it was this morning or yesterday, I don't remember, that I was also having my own battle. It was a physical one. I was like kind of expecting, maybe, because sometimes it's similar in the after or in the past. It has happened like months later, when my father has had the same issue about the kidney stones. And I remember that it was in the evening that I started feeling this pain in my back. And it was so heavy that I was thinking, oh, I think that this is a huge one. And I didn't want to worry anybody. And I was just praying and asking Abba, you are the one who is holding my life. You are the one who knows my pain, how much I can resist. And I know that you are the one that is going to be there for me, because sometimes you don't know. And even though you have that same situation before, you never know if it could be maybe more serious or not. Mm-hmm. But I was putting my trust in him, and I barely could sleep that night. But I remember that it was on one point of the 2 days before that I was like doing something, and I feel like, wow, this finally was moved. This finally, okay, it's going to be different, and now it's going, I don't know, it's in a couple of days, it's going to be okay, so don't worry anymore. So, but at that moment, I think that it was like when we were in the south and that time that I couldn't breathe. It was like the same decision. Abba, you know, and it's your will. So whatever is going to happen is going to be according to your will. So help me, and if I'm going to wake up, or I don't know, I know that it's going to be that moment that you're going to let me know, okay, you passed the worst part. The storm is now, you are seeing from the other side. So it was something beautiful, and I wanted to share that with you, because I know that maybe a lot of you are having difficulties with your body, with your struggle, maybe emotionally speaking, but he's always there. And we have to put our faith, the complete one, in his hand. And he's know what he's doing, but just ask him, reveal me what I have to do different, what I'm doing wrong, what I need to change to avoid this situation again. And he's going to let you know somehow. So we need to go through those phases. But what I'm happy that now at this stage of my life is not as frequent as it used to be years ago. Because years ago it was something very regular. But now it's, I don't know, like every 5 years, maybe, something like that.
Maybe it was because of a reason, particularly this week.
Yeah.
Was maybe the struggles you needed to go through while I was going through a different struggle. You know, I think I was taking a look in the chat, and I will repeat something I said a few weeks ago, and with that I'm going to finish. It's so important, again, is to speak up, especially the miracles that YaHuWaH is doing in our lives. And I see some of you sharing those miracles in the chat. So do so. You know, you want to testify of something that YaHuWaH has done in your life. Maybe after this broadcast is completed, just go to the channel and put the comment with the testimony you want to provide, because you know this is strengthening the faith or more people. If you don't want to do that, find another way, you know, speak to somebody.
Maybe you
tell somebody, your friends, is somebody in your family, tell them something that has happened in your life that doesn't have any logic at all. And don't consider things small. Everything is big in the hand of YaHuWaH. And that's why, you know, it's so important. It's the way to activate our faith. And not only activate and strengthen our faith, is to share the light of YaHuWaH with others, because somehow you are going to help strengthening the faith or more people. We just saw it in the story of Daniel and the king of the Medes and the Persian today. So don't waste more time. Do it so. Speak up. Share the testimony. Because, you know, we need to share it. This is what it means to become a witness, is to share what YaHuWaH, to speak up to others what YaHuWaH has done and is doing in our lives. And if we do so, he will continue doing more miracles in our lives. So having said that, I want to thank each one of you for joining us today. We really hope, as we always do, that these studies, these lessons, what the Ruach is bringing to our hearts and to your hearts is a blessing. And I can tell you it's a blessing to the two of us to continue serving YaHuWaH in this way. So thank you so much. Keep praying for one another. Keep trusting in YaHuWaH at all time. And we hope to see you next week, if that's the will of YaHuWaH, to continue the study of the book of YaHuWaH, of Daniel. So keep enjoying your Shabbat. YaHuWaH be with you all. And Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Bye bye.
איני יודע את העתיד, ולא בטוח מה המחר יגיד, אך אני מכיר אותך, ואין לי ספק בך. אולי יהיה קל, אולי קשה, ואין יודע מה היום יקרה, אך אני מכיר אותך, ואין לי ספק בך. יגידו אחרים אחרת, תמיד אקשיב רק לקולך, כי האמת שלך גוברת על כל עובדה. אם עד עכשיו קיימת כל מילה שנאמרה, אני אמשיך בך לפתוח בלי בושה. אני יודע שגואלי חי, הוא לא בקבר, הוא קם מן המתים, אז גם אני קם ונחץ רק בו, כי העתיד כולו שייך לאלף ואתה. עדיין אין לי את כל התשובות, אפילו יש לי קצת שאלות, אך אני מכיר אותך, ואין לי ספק בך. גם אם הרחקתי אתה קרוב, גם אם הרעתי אתה עדיין טוב, אך אני מכיר אותך, ואין לי ספק בך. יגידו אחרים אחרת, תמיד אקשיב רק לקולך, כי האמת שלך גוברת על כל עובדה. אם עד עכשיו קיימת כל מילה שנאמרה, אני אמשיך בך לפתוח בלי בושה, כי אני יודע שגואלי חי, הוא לא בקבר, הוא קם מן המתים, אז גם אני קם ונחז רק בו, כי העתיד כולו שייך לאלף ואתה. אני יודע שגואלי חי, הוא לא בקבר, הוא קם מן המתים, אז גם אני קם ונחז רק בו, כי העתיד כולו שייך לאלף ואתה. אני יודע שגואלי חי, הוא לא בקבר, הוא קם מן המתים, אז גם אני קם ונחז רק בו, כי העתיד כולו שייך לאלף ואתה. אני יודע שגואלי חי, הוא לא בקבר, הוא Camino a ti.